What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's episode I'm working on Cody's hatch. It's been in here for a couple months now and I haven't had a chance to make any videos, so I'm trying to get back on the grind here at the shop, and it's just been, the shop's been crazy. So we're trying to finish up some old projects. We got this one and this other hatch over here is getting a K turbo. We'll make some videos on that too at some point, but Cody's car needed a few things to continue making it roadworthy. I tried to drive it some, this is Monday, I tried to drive it some this past Friday, and it didn't go too well. The fuel pump was very loud and almost like it's out of fuel. I put fuel in it, but that didn't fix it. So pulled it out and it was a disaster. Check this fuel pump out. The fuel pump that came out of it, filthy, nasty, rusty. See, it's just rough looking. So we got that out of there and went ahead and ordered a new one. Got this one just came in. This is a true grade from AutoZone. We also got a new fuel filter because of the condition that pump was in. I'm sure that it's got some trash up in the filter. So we're gonna get all that stuff put on here. Putting a fuel pump in one of these is pretty straightforward if you've never done one. It's just right here under the rear seat. And you see it's full of fuel. So we're gonna get that knocked out real quick and hopefully get this thing to where to run again. All right. I'm about to take a quick gander at the old one to make sure that it was correct. It was. What do you got in there? It's 10 millimeter. Snug them down. Nothing too crazy. And then we'll put these hoses back on here. We got the return line. Yeah. Alright, the supply line. On these, they got these crush washers. Make sure you got one on each side of the hose here for the banjo bolt. So there we got our top one. And we'll get our bottom one. It's interesting. I think I had two of them on there. And that's a 17 millimeter. There, Rachel. Good snug there. Alright. And then we got our harness, which is here. Got the boot not in the best shape. Doesn't really matter too much on the boot. I'm just gonna put it on there to have it on there, and then I'm gonna get some WD-40 spray on this hose inside of it, where it slide all the way up on here pretty easy. And so as far as the fuel filter, it's here on the firewall. See there, it's just right there. It's got a couple of fittings here on the top, and then it's got a 10 millimeter bolt that comes through from the battery side here. It comes through right at the back. Kind of see it back there. And that holds the bracket on, but we got a 14 millimeter line wrench for this, and 17 mil here on the feed line. Well, I'm sorry, this one goes to the fuel rail, this one goes from the fuel pump. So we'll get those off, get them on here, and be in business, hopefully. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this off. let's see if it starts. The battery may be dead because it has been sitting. I had to jump it off Friday when I drove it, so just we'll see. What in the world? Alright, so I got another filter from VataZone and it's not leaking, so we're good on that front. Running nice and quiet. Seems like it has power now. Yesterday, or not yesterday, but Friday, when I was driving it, the fuel pump was super loud. Like in here you can hear it like it's out of fuel. So if your fuel pump's real loud, usually it means you're out of fuel. I'm gonna go ahead and get all this vacuumed up real nice, and then get the rear seat back in and go for a test drive. Well, it's about a week later now, and I went for a test drive after I got that the fuel pump stuff swapped out, and it tried to overheat on me. So I checked the fan wasn't on. Got to doing some looking around. I jumped out the fan switch and the fan turned on, so it's not a fan issue. It didn't have power to the fan. So I checked the radiator hoses, and the upper one was a lot hotter than the lower one. So we put a new Beck thermostat in it and a new Beck fan switch. Beck is really good aftermarket stuff, so we got that stuff swapped out, and now we're on a test drive in the car. You can see I've still got an SRS light on, and I don't have my seatbelt on, and I'm trying to fix some stuff with the AC, so I've got more of this stuff torn apart. And you can see the SRS light, it kind of comes and goes, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't know if it's something up with the ribbon in here or what's going on with that. We'll get that figured out too. And I gotta get the AC fixed in this joint because it doesn't have any AC. But overall, I would say the fuel pump swap was a success. I've still got to clean up in the back and get that seat back installed. But overall, 10-10. So we're back here at the shop. Made the little trip down to AutoZone and back with this hatch. They did pretty good. Can't complain. We did go ahead and get the seat reinstalled back here, looking all nice and fresh. And I've still got to situate that stuff with the AC stuff. No big deal there. We'll do that later, I guess. I've got to change out the power steering bellow on this side because it's torn, as well as the outer tie rod. And then the resonator has a couple holes in it there. We're going to try to get another mid pipe, just from like the Kellett converter back to the muffler, and replace that whole piece. If we can, that way it stays all OEM. But if not, then we'll just have to go get another resonator put in there to patch up those couple little holes. It's still pretty quiet. I mean, you heard it when I was driving there. It wasn't super loud, but right now, we just want it to be 100%. So we'll get back on the Civic here pretty soon. I don't know how much I'll update on it, but maybe once it's in its final state, maybe we'll do another video. But we will be getting back to the old Yeeter here pretty soon, though. This is my CRV. It's a first gen. It's all-wheel drive. You can see it has a K-swap. It's K24A2. It's currently 6-speed. It has a third gen CRV transmission. It's a non-US transmission because the third gen CRVs never came with a manual transmission in the US. They were all automatic. So this one is a non-US transmission. It is an OEM 6-speed, and it drives great. The only complaint I have about this one is it uses a countershaft speed sensor. It's right down there, as opposed to the traditional vehicle speed sensor, which would be back on the back of the transmission by the differential, and it reads off the differential. So my speedometer doesn't currently work. I do have the K-tuned VSS converter to make that work. I just haven't done it. It does read correctly in K-Pro. It just doesn't output through the speedometer correctly. But I'm going to fix all that too. I did get some new wheels, if y'all are familiar with it. I did have some gold Rota grids on it, or bronze Rota grids, and I have since upgraded to these Black Rhino, their chambers, what they're called. They're 16 by 8. I think -10 offset. And I got some Toyo AT3s on here. And these are 235/70 16. So pretty tight fit. You can see I do not have any kind of subframe drop or anything on this thing right now. I am planning to do that though, even if it's just like a 1-inch. I don't know, you know, maybe it'll help. Can't really see the Brembos as good with these as you could with the gold or with the roto grids, but I don't really care too much. I almost consider taking them off because you can't see them. And I mean, it still stops with or without them. So did some braking changes there. I've got a adjustable proportion valve and made my own brake lines over here and that kind of jazz. But we will be getting back to a video on this thing pretty soon. I gotta also put a new rack and pinion in it and that stuff, but we'll get there. And I got a little surprise for you guys. Check this out. The CRV is going turbo. That's right, it's just an old cheap turbo kit. I got like a log manifold, and I'm just gonna get a set of intercooler pipes made to mount an intercooler up here and just go low boost on it. I don't really care to make too much crazy power. I'm thinking maybe like 300 or 400 horsepower just on pump gas 93. Yeah, I want to be able to drive this thing and go places and still make it reliable. And you know, at 300 or 400 horsepower, this thing's gonna be rowdy, especially with it being lifted and everything. So more to come on that. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, and leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about Cody's hatch and my RD1 and what my plans are with that. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you on another video soon. Peace.